on to a topic which I cover if I'm doing a radio show or a show of any sort at the start of every summer. And I always say, gosh, if you just thought about it, we could avoid so much heartbreak over summer. I get the experts on, they tell us that, and every year someone doesn't take care and we have more tragedy. I'm talking about drowning in New Zealand. And you're never far away from the water in this country. Used to be every primary school had a swimming pool and we could all swim, but things have changed. People seem to take more risks, particularly middle-aged or older men or blokes out in boats and swimming. So what was this summer's, when summer is well and truly over now, what was our drowning toll like? We're joined now by Daniel Gerrard from Water Safety New Zealand. Hey, nice to have you back, Daniel. I wish it was to report victory over stupidity and drowning.
Yeah, kia ora, absolutely. But unfortunately, we're at a situation where there's just not a lot of good news. And it just seems that I'm speaking to you and others about this on just this regular basis. Things are just not changing. And, you know, we've just reported the worst in a decade, up 15% on our 10-year average.
So now, is this an annual death toll from drowning or the summer death toll?
This is 2022. So this is the year that was, and look, there were two significantly large multi-fatality events, one in Kaikoura, one in Northland, involving boats that, they always skew the data, but it's still 94 Kiwis that have lost their life in the 2022 year.
Wow. That is a lot. And as I said, geez, we look at the road toll and say, that's coming down, that's great. Yeah, here we have another cause of preventable death that seems to be taking off. Can we look at those deaths, Daniel, and let's take out those multi-fatality events? Where is this happening? Where's it going wrong?
So we know who they are, and you highlighted it. 85% are male, 40% are over that 55-year age group. What's challenging is Pacifica and Māori are very overrepresented based on their population. So there needs to be we need to look harder at how we can work better with those communities. 60%, if you drew a line across from Tauranga to Hamilton, north of that's where 60% of people were. So clearly, warmer water, more participation. So that's nothing of a surprise, and then sort of a split between offshore rivers and beaches, the normal sort of environments. But what is of interest, and again we discussed the multi-fatalities, craft, they were up 66%, so a third of all fatalities last year were associated with craft. And we come back to the old story that's 29 people, 20 of them didn't have a life jacket or didn't have access to a life jacket. So that's still the bugbear that I continue to have with central government around listening and paying attention to those sort of numbers. We've surveyed boaties. We've done a big international survey we do with Surf Life Saving New Zealand, and in that survey we just ask, if you're in a boat less than 6 metres, should it be compulsory? And 93% of boaties say, of course it should be. But for some reason, we can't get that message through to government. So, look, that's the challenge. And, you look at that being the next circuit breaker, the last 20 years has really been a flat line, which is, I guess, credit to all those working within the sector. We've maintained it at that sort of rate. But the last 5 years, we are starting to see an upturn, and that is in relation to population too. So that's all being covered off. So we need the next circuit breaker. We need to work out what that's going to be and get government to say yes to something.
All right, let's talk about the boats, about the craft. I think that's interesting. So 20 out of the 29, which is about a third, just under a third of fatalities were involving boats or boat craft. 20 out of 29 didn't have a life jacket. Now, it strikes me if we were going to make a comparison with the road toll, Daniel, we would say a life jacket's like a seatbelt, isn't it?
Yep, exactly. And look, people were kicking and screaming back in the 80s around someone telling me to wear this stupid thing. Well, it is in that same situation that we just need to bite the bullet, so to speak, and actually do it. We've also, the coroners and others have come out recently talking about boat licensing and, WAFs and registrations of boats. The Aussies have had this in certain states for a number of years, and our bylaws associated with the life jacket put a lot of responsibility on the skipper, that the skipper can make the call on the day. And we're not qualifying any of these skippers. People are doing educational
I mean, you don't
courses
need a
off their own
licence to
back.
drive a boat, do you? And a boat doesn't even have to be registered. There is there's none of that on the open water.
No, so you could have an unseaworthy boat. You could have a boat that hasn't been in the water for, actually, a recent situation. We had a boat that malfunctioned trying to cross the Monaco Bar, and we lost 3 individuals because the boat wasn't seaworthy. So, those simple things. But if we had a skipper that was licensed, that then could make the right decision because they knew what to do, they knew the basics, those sort of things would start to change. We're doing further work around alcohol in boating, and the Aussies are telling us that it's a massive problem for them, and I don't see why it wouldn't be here. We've got some behaviours that aren't right when you're out in the boat, that the skipper is in control of potentially the lives of everybody on board. So that responsibility is really, really important. So that's where the conversations with Maritime New Zealand, the new Minister, Associate Minister Allen for Transporters, seems to be on a more logical page than some other ministers in the past. So we're really hopeful that just some of the common sense stuff could get through this time.
Yeah, I hear you absolutely. Let's look to then at the Pacifica and Māori, disproportionate number of them drowning. How disproportionate?
So, again, nearly a third of our drownings are Māori, and they make up less than 17% of the population. So there's a lot of indicators that we're seeing that it's not for recreational purposes that are going out, into the water. Often it is kite gathering, often it is there to put food on the table. And when that's the challenge, the risk profile completely changes. That if you're needing to get out, dive or fish on days that are untoward, you might have to do it. So there's some challenges that are far bigger than just drowning issues that need to be addressed there. But we're working closely with a number of marae around marae-based diving programs to make sure that the basics are there, that you are going out with somebody else, you're going, in a buddying situation, that if you're out net fishing, you know how to do that safely, not to tie the net around your leg when you're standing at the mouth of a river. Things like that, just really bringing back some of those basic skills that, Pacifica and Māori populations have always had, but with urbanisation and other challenges, those skills have been lost. So it is bringing back that connection to water and making sure that safety's first, that provision of kai, is done safely. So big challenges there, but we have got some really good people. There's a lot of research going into this sort of space around how we all as Kiwis can operate better in these environments. So big positive, I think, there.
Yeah. Look, another question I know, and I've already got some text asking this question. What about immigrant New Zealanders? And people are talking and mentioned Asians, so I don't want to be specific to race. Are people who come to New Zealand, and maybe we've already moved down a long way from this, but, the culture of the beach and being competent at the beach, I would have said in my younger day, was something that Kiwis took pride in, was part of our culture.
Yeah.
We've got people coming to live here who haven't grown up in that culture, see everyone else engaging in the water at the beach and get themselves in trouble.
Yep. It's absolutely a challenge. What we're seeing, and again, we're expanding our data and research to be able to go deeper into these sort of conversations and questions. So what we're finding is those New Zealanders, and often it's overrepresented by Asian populations, but the first generation often avoids the beach and those environments altogether because they are so foreign. What we're seeing, it's the first generation of Kiwis that the family and the parents don't recognise the skills that need to be developed, but they're growing up with a bunch of, other Kiwi kids who may have some of these skills, just by the nature of their childhood. It's them that seem to be the ones getting into trouble, that they just don't have that baseline knowledge or have had any of the experiences that some of their peers have had. So that could be on a boat, that could be just going out to the beach, not even knowing that swimming between the flags is the safest place to be, and getting themselves in trouble. So, yeah, the New Zealand is really, really important to get some basic messaging. I keep thinking about, you're flying to Auckland Airport and there's signage up there, or you're coming in and the in-flight video is giving you some very basic messages around, swim between the flags and make sure you're with somebody. So there's a lot more we can be doing there.
Yeah. Geez, Danny, it doesn't seem like there's any good news in these stats, to be honest. Everyone's at risk or doing something wrong, or...
Yeah, Taranaki, 0 drownings in Taranaki, and I would have thought as an aquatic surfing environment, that's a highlight. I think the younger New Zealanders are definitely trending in the right direction, and that's something. That's an interesting one. We know that we're doing more in the education space, not enough yet.
Well, maybe they're just not swimming as much, Daniel.
Well, yeah, that could be a factor, but we're seeing participation rates across the board increase. So that's boat ownership, that is people going to these environments, and we're using digital data a lot more than we did. That we can hotspot where people are, and we sort of know where numbers are. So there's a lot more research going into this. But Ministry of Education are key. They've invited us around the table around, refreshing curriculum. Having an aquatic school by the end of sort of intermediate is not enough. We need to be a bit more prescriptive and help them and help the teachers make it really, really easy to teach those basic skills. Not not butterfly or breaststroke, but just how to stay afloat.
Yeah. All right. Well, are you going to set a goal? What do you hope for the next year? Because 94 is just too damn high.
Yes. Setting a goal is always a hard one. I'd love to have the resources to make, a road to zero type campaign. We're going to have to target. I think we've got to be really, really smart around what we can do. If we identify that next circuit breaker and really do some work around craft and that behaviour change, I think that is something for sure.
They're going to scream though. Yeah. The guys, tugging on a six-pack as they go out in the runabout. Bloody government can't tell me what to do.
Don't you dare tell me what to do. I've had some very interesting conversations. Yes, I get a lot of feedback, we'll call it that, shall we?
Yeah. Daniel, is that going to require legislation? Do you need to have a government get behind you on that? Is cultural change going to be enough, and PR going to spin campaign going to be enough, or do you need some new laws?
Yeah, I think the basic, the life jacket one would, if we look at those numbers, that's significant impact. If we were to save an additional 20 lives, that is a massive. That's the next pull fence legislation. That's the one where we halve our numbers again and we keep that sustainable. So, yeah, there needs to be some legislative changes. We need the curriculum to better embrace water skills for life and those basic fundamental skills, and then we just need to find, like everybody is, a way to communicate to a bunch of guys like ourselves that like our freedom, like our space, like to be able to jump in the boat and go and do what we want, but doing it in a way that we're not putting those people that are with us at risk. So, three-pronged approach. We'll see how we progress, and hopefully we can have better conversations about more of the Taranakis and other success stories. That's what I want.
That'd be nice, Dan. It sure would, and we shouldn't forget to. We're bloody lucky in New Zealand. We do have access to such water recreation and such a beautiful environment, and we really have.
Yeah, we have. We've got to embrace that connection that we have with water. We are incredibly privileged, and we should never forget that. What we're wanting to do is just make sure you come home, enjoy it, but come home.
All right. Hey, look, Daniel, as always, nice talking to you. I'm sorry it isn't under better and happier circumstances. Love the work you do, and we will talk to you again soon.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Daniel. Daniel Gerrard from Water Safety New Zealand.